So participated, that's a weak verb as well. Writing policy directives. I don't know what that means, but if there's some good technical words or keywords out of that, then you should include them. So policy directives on X, Y, Z to show if it was technical or if it's relevant to the next job. Okay, so think about that. Using FrameMaker. This could help or hurt you by putting the tool inside your job description. And I'll tell you why. Because if you used FrameMaker and it was 8 years ago, well then somebody's going to look at your resume and say, well, they haven't used FrameMaker in 8 years. Or in this case, maybe 5 years. And so then it's a disservice to you to insert FrameMaker. And by keeping FrameMaker just in your tools section, well then you're still getting the advantage of naming the tool. Okay? So we always look for ways to reduce getting thrown into the other pile. So going a little bit further down, prepared written summaries of research findings and conference activities. Okay, I don't know what conference that is, but if it was a big conference, if there were a lot of people that came, if there were people that came from all over the world, you know, it's a global conference, doesn't that sound a lot better than just a conference? Think about any way that you can help your user understand exactly what you did. And the other risk of including the tool in your job description is that you might forget about it in your list of tools, which is the case that happened here. Microsoft Publisher was not included in the list of tools. Okay? Recruiters are not going to read your entire resume. They hate reading resumes. So they will look at your list of tools to find what they need. Okay, so you need to think about that. So I'd like to move to the next resume then. So this resume, again, the contact information has been removed. And this person looks like a very good candidate, but needs more evidence. Okay? And the resume also needs to be localized for Toronto if that's the goal. Needs a tools section, needs an education section, and really not sure by the career summary here what this person wants. You know, I'm really not sure. I don't have the picture yet. I don't have the snapshot. And I should. Okay, if you don't make that easy for people, they will move on to somebody else very, very quickly. So years of experience is not typically a line that you would see in a resume. Okay? Just standing alone out there like an orphan. It's really not a line that you would see. So proficient with project should be lowercase, estimation, planning, resourcing, and tracking. Proficient with, I don't know what that means. Okay? Do the math for people, give them a number of years. Comprehensive knowledge, I don't know what that means. Give them the facts, give them the numbers, etc. Don't use informal documentation. Excellent verbal and written communication skills. We saw this in the presentation. So rather than provide a subjective statement, provide the proof. Rewrite it into an objective way. And again here I'm suggesting to remove identifiers from other countries unless you want to work in those other countries. Okay? And jobs are not really numbered. And you don't need the role. Okay? You just need the job title. And then this person's experience is excellent. Managed multi-location teams of 15 to 20 members and effectively handled challenges related to work, people, and quality. Okay, that's excellent experience. So there's just in this resume, there's just really a few kind of localization issues to iron out, and formatting, and some slight editorial issues. Third party, spell it out. Sometimes there's a period at the end of the sentence, and sometimes there isn't. Okay? When those things add up in a resume, that's enough for your resume to go into the other pile. Handled is a weak verb, and there we see it again, not one sentence later. Okay? Handled internal documentation meant for HSBC employees. Meant for is not really typical usage. Intended for, provided to, that's okay. Business to drive clarity into the functional requirements, that's really not typical usage either in a formal document. Okay? But this person's experience is excellent. Gained proficiency in XMetal and worked on documenting business processing. You know, that statement doesn't do anything. There's nothing that jumps out at me about results, accomplishments, productivity, especially saying worked on. You know, that's very weak usage, absolutely. And then we have different tenses here. We have acted as, so we have past tense, and then we have maintaining documentation with the ing. So need some parallel tense as well. And I like to jump down a little bit to this resume a little bit further down. Then we have an entirely new section here called International Experience, and the section just really comes out of nowhere, actually. So I'm thinking to myself, does this person want to work internationally and not work in Toronto? Okay, this job is in Toronto, I won't call you. We're not really sure about this engagement period. You know, so it's a different format completely, and it's a very odd section to include at the end of the resume with a number of other items that have just been collected that don't have any connection with each other. Okay. STC, first time it's mentioned, acronyms should be spelled out. Okay. That's Tech Writing 101. So again, this person has excellent experience, is an excellent candidate, but the resume needs work because people are going to notice it. So we have one last resume, and then we can get to some more questions. Okay. So this resume, it's a great format. Okay. Will these tables cause problems in when it's being filtered and entered into the system? They may, but they may not also. But it's something that you probably want to check and verify. But this is a great format. It's attractive. It's easy to find information. Right away, you see a snapshot of this person. Right away. And, you know, that's excellent. I give this person 3 seconds. They grab me right away. Okay? Now, enriching people through excellence in writing. You see this at the top. Right here. That doesn't grab me as an employer. Enriching people through excellence in writing. It doesn't grab me as an employer, but, you know, this does. Technical writer and editor with over 10 years of experience in software and banking. Make sure it's lowercase. And this statement doesn't really provide a lot of relevance at this point. Okay, recent experience working in CIBC BIM team. And be careful about using symbols in formal documentation. Okay, and be really careful about unnecessary capitalization unless these are the formal names of the course. Okay, so informal things should not be used in a resume. Authoring tools. Is CMS an authoring tool? It's a type of tool. I'm not sure it's an authoring tool. So there are some parentheses. This is an orphan parenthesis, and In this format now they are using parentheses. Okay? I'm not the only one that looks for these kinds of things. Don't capitalize networking. This is what they do to resumes when they come through. So your core competencies, these are excellent, and I absolutely believe this person has all these core competencies, but they need to be tied to actual experience so we can see the proof, so we can see the math. Okay? Otherwise, as orphans hanging out on their own, they're not effective and they're not believable. Education, excellent education. Where did you get it? I don't know. And that matters, by the way. So looking at the rest of the resume, and again, this person has excellent experience, but you really need to think about what people are looking for. And when you just say work with editors, when you just list tasks, which there's a lot of here, then you're not getting the most mileage, and you need to include results, process, detail, rather than just list your tasks. And you know, there's a point at which you can have too much information as tasks, and it really does a disservice to you. You can actually even remove some tasks, put in another process and detail and results and accomplishments, and have a stronger resume than a list of tasks. Okay? So handled mortgage rewrite project. This actually sounds like a huge project, but I'm guessing, really. So you need some more detail about that. What was the project? Was it huge? Was it significant? Was it really important to the company? You know, what can you tell us about it? Because if it's an important project and they put you on it, well, then you have just boosted confidence in people. And the same for this entry. Okay, it's a task. It's a list of a task saying teach, technical editing and writing. But what were the accomplishments? Okay, what were the results? I teach at Humber Institute, and there are surveys that are done at the end of the term that students do, anonymous surveys, and my ranking is 99%. Do I have that in my resume? I absolutely have that in my resume. Okay? And when you come across companies that may not be brand names, they may not be recognizable, readily recognizable to people, then you need to explain that. Say it in terms that they understand. Maybe this is very significant. You know, maybe this is the largest company of its kind or specialization of its kind or something, but say it in a way that's familiar to them. Okay? Acronyms, spelling out, first instances, translation files in 25 languages. That's excellent, and that's exactly the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. Careful about including other countries on the resume, because you don't need to. That's the thing. There's no resume rule anywhere that says you need to put the company of where you got the experience, or the country rather. And going over to the next page. Again, we want to remove months because they could possibly show a gap. We want to spell out first instances of acronyms. Develop technical manuals for GoForce and Enforce chips. Okay? Now I don't know what that is. Maybe I should know what that is, but I don't know what that is. And so those references are lost on me. Say it in terms that most people understand. And remember, thinking about your audiences, HR people may not know what that means either. And if they are the first hurdle you need to go through in order to get to your technical writing manager or software director or whoever, well then that reference is lost on them too. You have to think about everybody. So be careful about unnecessary capitalization, about spelling out numbers under 10. Okay, so this Moving a little bit further down the page. Now we have a completely different format. Completely different. And so, as a technical writer who looks for consistency, I ask why, especially for the older experience, why it's there at all. Okay? Anything past 10 years, why is it there at all?